everyone, it's Vicki Ross with Axully. I also nicknamed myself Wiki, and I'm a maker. So, welcome to this Photoshop demo. I had a request for the preparation I had done for the comp that I'm going to finish this painting with two young girls on it instead of just this one faint image. This painting was started, as a not throwdown, self-competition. I give myself challenges every once in a while. There's the word I'm looking for, challenge. I had found a Russian artist online. His name is Igor Sakharov. He bills himself as the Russian Bob Ross, but he's much better than Bob Ross, let's put it that way. So anyway, his deal is turp and oil paint and a palette knife, and he just smears colors, adds a little more turp, and thins them out, and until something begins to appear, and then he goes with that. So this was my attempt to follow along with him, and I found a sky and image of a girl, a profile image of a girl. So I did this without any reference, just from memory and my training in portrait painting. The girl reminded me of Bailey Gormley. She's the granddaughter of one of my best friends, and I had painted Bailey before, so this is the painting I had done of her, and I happened to have a profile shot of her, but this girl reminded me a little bit of Bailey. So instead of continuing to work on it, I left it on my easel, and then I went into my year-long search for mixed media and encaustic. Long story short, Bailey's getting married, or got married a year ago, to a young lady named Glory Tori. Yeah, I haven't met Glory, but I hear that they're both just over the moon happy. Regardless of your thoughts on same-sex marriage, that's what I always say, none of my business. But here we are. This is the painting the way I left it on my easel. It was still sitting there. First thing I did was got as good a photo as I could get. Now for me, my large easel sits perpendicular to a north light window. I can get almost perfect lighting with that. I also can get an almost perfect picture with my iPhone camera. I have an iPhone 5 now. It takes better photos than my mid-range Canon DSR digital. Didn't have lenses, but it was the next best thing to it. Okay, here's the painting. Nothing really wrong with the color, but I always try to square the edges up here as close as I can and get the most of the painting in the frame for the camera. As you can see, it leaves me a little bit of room here and here. So this particular demo is in Photoshop. I've used Photoshop since version 1. Taught it to myself back in the day. You didn't have internet to speak of. Taught myself Photoshop with the manual and one finger on a mouse, one finger in the book. Thankfully, there weren't as many options then as there are now. I don't know that I could learn it now, but regardless of that, I've been working with it for almost 30 years. Photoshop Elements is a good substitute, and it's very inexpensive. There are numerous free programs out there. One is called GIMP, and sorry Windows users, I'm a Mac user and I don't really know what's available for you. However, I'm going to keep this simple and stick to Photoshop. About the only difference with Elements is that some of the tools and the toolbars and commands are different. I think you'll be able to figure it out. Okay, first thing I do is Command A and T, and that gives, it didn't give me anything. Okay, change the background later. Command T. Now, Command T lets me resize the picture. I'm fairly square, but I'm a pretty much a stickler for that. So if I hold down my right click key and go to skew, I can pull this edge up just a hair, and I look pretty good at the bottom, and I don't have much mid lens skew, so I hit return, and looks pretty good. And go back to Command T. Well, not that. I go to crop, pull that down, pull this up. Now I'm just dealing with the image of the painting. Get that clear. Okay, Command, go back to the tool. Okay, now I'm all clear. If I want to adjust the color at this point, it's pretty good. This area appears just a little bit hot. For computer work only, now if I were going to do this for pre-press, for color process printing, it's a totally different scenario. But I go to Image, Adjustments, and I just want to take a look at the hue and saturation dialog box. I can pull this down a little bit. What I usually do is go all the way so I can see what the changes are all the way on that side. So you can kind of tell the hue to me looks pretty good right where it was. If you don't want to mess with that, you can always click on cancel, hold down Option and cancel. It'll reset. If saturation, see that's more saturation, that's less. In this case, I might give it just a little bit less. Other than that, I mean, that's not much of a change. So I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to cancel out of it. All right, so we've got it square. Now, first thing I did, in my head, I thought, well, gee, it would be kind of nice if I could have both girls on the same painting, but I don't want anything goopy, syrupy, anything like that, like I'm looking at each other or anything stupid. So first thing I'm going to do is try to see if I can come up with a pleasing composition with both profile shots facing what appears to me to be lighthouses here and water, surf. Gloria's from Puerto Rico and both girls are in the Air Force. So that was my reasoning for thinking this might have some meaning. All right, the first thing I'm going to do, I've got the lasso tool. You see this here? Lasso's over here. And I'm just going to do a real quick circle of that head. And then I go to Layer, New, Layer by Copy. Okay, so now I've got a separate layer. I did forget something. Usually before I make any adjustments at all, I'll copy this background layer and shut it so that I can always go back to the original. Alright, so now I have this layer. I'm going to click on that and go back to my main tool, and I can pull this anywhere I want it to see if I can get a good, see if something like that might work. Doesn't look too bad. I can enlarge my screen by going Command Command plus, and I'm going to use the eraser, which is E, and I'm just going to roughly cut out some of that extra so that it doesn't distract me. Okay, just rough. Because this is just for my use as I build this composition. And this is not for digital piece of art. This is going to be my reference for finishing the wall painting. I use shortcuts. The brush size bigger and smaller is the bracket key next to the P, and you can hit the left bracket to go smaller and the right bracket to go bigger. Okay, now zoom back out. Now the first thing I wanted to do was to check the, okay, I don't need that layer anymore. This was a picture that I had located of that photo shoot when I photographed when I was going to paint Bailey in the first place. I wanted to see how close this profile shot is to my painting. So I'm going to go back up, and then the shortcut for the main tool is a V. I'm going to just take this picture and drag it over. Now, of course, it's too big, so we'll go to Command T, zoom out a little bit, make the screen a little bigger, hold down the Shift key, grab that, and get it roughly the same size. Now again, I'm going to do the same thing with the lasso tool. I'm going to quickly cut around her. Okay, back to the main tool. Do Shift, Command I will invert it and select everything but the head. Then I can delete it. Go back to the main tool. Command D deselects everything and pop her right here. Now, I need to go a little bigger, just a hair, and line up. Try to line up the nose and the mouth, because the purpose of this is to see where my painting is off. That's pretty darn close. Now go back to the brush tool, which is B. Oh, hello. I've got the paintbrush, not the eraser is E. Now that makes more sense. I had the paintbrush, that's a B. See, I'm telling you, I've done this for so many years, I don't know how to verbalize it. I've been asked to teach, but zoom in. I don't use this much. Let's see, I just want to get right over here. Now at this point, I'm still in design mode. My photograph of her head is tilted just a little bit away from us and a little bit down from what I have on my canvas. But unless you're lucky enough to set up your own photo shoot, sometimes you have to work with what you've got. I don't like that. Command Z is your friend. Let up on my mouse very frequently, so if I do need to go back, Command Z, I don't have to go back too far. Yes, I'm persnickety. And again, this is not being done for digital purposes. There are cleaner ways to do a cutout. But for what I'm doing right now, this is just fine. All right, zoom back out. Now, all right, one trick is you can do Command T and rotate this head just a little bit. That gets it a little more in the same vertical axis with what we've got. Maybe just a hair more. Now, that's not to say we can't change the oil painting. Return. And I think we could go just a little bit bigger. So you can see I'm just jockeying back and forth. All right, the eye's pretty close. The mouth is pretty close. The chin is off. And the nose is off. But we're close. Just a hair. Okay. So I look, I ponder, I pop her in position. So that would kind of be what Bailey would look like. You can see where there needs to be more shadow here. The other thing, it looks like she's in, well, she is, as a matter of fact. I happen to know. She was picking up light from the ambient lighting in the room from here, and in that particular room there was a north window which was making this cooler light on her face. So the position of the light is another thing I'm going to have to deal with. I just have to make a decision which way it's going to be. Now in my painting, the light is coming more from here, which is hitting this right in here, where on Bailey, a strong light from this direction and a north cool light from this direction. All right, enough of an art lesson. Let's pretend she's going to fit right there. I did not have any profile pictures of Glory. I looked and looked and looked and looked. That's my aperture. That's where I keep my paintings organized, or my photographs organized. I can organize them by group. We're done with that, so I'm going to close that out. I don't need that window. I'm trying to keep my desktop clear for you. All right. Now, we've got that picture. Here is a picture that emergency call for photo. Susan just happened to have this, which gives me a shape of the face, the bone structure in the face. To me, Glory looks like she's got indigenous bone structure, Indian bone structure, where Bailey is probably more Minnesota, Wisconsin, probably more of a Norwegian family bloodline. So anyway, of course, this one's facing the wrong way. The first thing I do is come up here under Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, because I just wanted that layer flipped. Once again, we'll go to the lasso tool, and we'll just do a quick cut right around there. Back to the hand tool, Command-Shift-I, delete. Okay, now we have Glory. So we want to make her just about the same size. Didn't have any artifacts around that. We'll just go with that. Something that I didn't get erased. We've got to make her close to the same size. And maybe tilt her just a hair, a little bit bigger. Hold down the Shift key so you don't change. Very close. Alright, deselect, eraser, zoom in, bigger. Now we're not quite getting a profile view of Glory. We're getting just a hair between a 7/8 view, and that's why you're seeing this eye socket right here. You're also not seeing the nose in total profile, but we're going to have to work with that because that's the best we've got. She's also got a few teeth exposed. And this really isn't going to be intended to be an exact replica or an exact picture of either girl, but just resemble. All right. Now where are we? A little bit bigger. Okay, we'll call that done. Alright, so now comes the decision. Which girl's in front? Bailey looks bigger. Yeah. Okay, that's close. Now I've got to decide which one goes in front, where I want that head positioned, how much of the back I want showing, and I've got to decide which girl I want in front. Here they're pretty much even, but if I move her to this position and move Bailey, I'm going to drag that layer up, move Bailey on top and out like that, and Bailey is taller, so if I move her up a little, then the flow of the eye can come across here to Bailey. Let me show you that. Your eye can enter the painting to the left, come down here, go across the girls, and back up to the sky. Where if I have Bailey taller first and then the shorter girl, then your eye's going to have a tendency to go right off the edge. So I think I'm liking that. Now, what to do about the color? I don't have to do anything with it. But just for grins. I'm going to go back to Glory's layer. I'm going to go adjustment, match color. Let's see, no, wait a minute. What did I do the other day? Bailey's layer. Image, adjustments, match color. Now down here, I leave all these things pretty much the same. Source is Glory's picture, which is 0460. Source is 0460. I've got preview on. Now watch what happens to Bailey's face. I really want it to be more, I need it to be warmer. And I'm not getting it. Okay, cancel. Alright, let's just try adjustments. Go to hue and saturation. I want her warm. I want more color in Bailey's face. They're never going to match in color. Warmer, warmer. A little bit. Took it out. Okay, now let's see what we can do. Hue saturation. Okay, take out some saturation. Ooh, that makes her look green. Okay, I'm going to stop with that. Alright, the next thing I looked at was, do I really like that picture of Bailey? Not really sure I do, so I put out an SOS for Susan and scored another one. This one is, this has been probably 3-4 years, and that's a lot when you're in your 20s. So let's try this picture of Bailey and see if we can make it work any better. I'll do the same thing I've been doing. Isolate. Delete. Cancel. Alright. Here. Oh, that's what I did before. I dragged the whole thing. Alright, so we're going to think about Bailey here. Yeah, we want that layer on top. And that tilt is a little off, so we're going to bring that in. Now this picture has its issues as well because her eyes are downcast. She does have a pleasant smile on her face. She's a whole lot happier these days. So close size, let's kill that. Let's go to eraser. I took more time the other day when I was doing this, but I wanted to show you the process. Slow and tedious. Some artists will actually draw rough sketches of their composition. Can't do anything when I'm on film. I'm hitting the space bar. I'm not going to get very far that way. Now remember, this is just my comp for painting. Right now I'm trying to decide which picture I like better. Of Bailey. Okay. Close size-wise. Let's move her right over there. Let's move her back a little bit. Let's hide this layer. Now let's take a look at that color. Now we want to desaturate a little bit. I always go the wrong way. And no, that's about right. Lightness, no, about right there. This is better skin tone, or at least for a place to start. Now remember, I've got to do something with this eye socket and her lip right there, and she'll have more of an indent right here, and I think I can pull that off. Bailey will have an open eye. The smile is good. Size is good. Make sure that they're close in the picture. Bailey could be just a hair taller. Okay, now move her back into position about right here. Okay. Now that's the one I just did for you here. I don't want you going back in the, and here's the comp that I did the other day. I need to show you this too. Let's just work with one right now. Okay, this is the, I want to play with this one, so I want to hide this one, and I want to bring, okay, there she is. Okay, now I want to see, because I'm going to be painting on top of this, I want to see how far out, not that one, this one. Helps if you name your layers, but I don't unless I'm working on something serious. I have the opacity of this layer down on 64%. There it is, full strength. But if I turn down the opacity, I can begin to see the real painting underneath it. Kind of tells me where I'm going to have to modify. Obviously, I'm going to have to cut in here just a little. The nose. Pull that back. The nose is rounder here. The lips are fuller. The chin is a little fuller. So overall, her face is more that shape. than flat. So I look at that at the same time I look at position and everything else. Okay, so let's just leave her kind of vague. Okay, there's the painting trimming I did here. And there's the first photo I looked at with Bailey. And then here's the one that I decided on. Let's get on the right layer. Now, pull that down. Now that's the painting. Here's the real Bailey. Part of that is that her head, the top of her head is tilted toward us just a little bit. And that accounts for some of the discrepancy there. And if you want to check the size relation, it's actually a little more right there. Okay. Now, I turned the guides off. The next thing I do is show guides. I moved her, so what I did was I drew, these are lines that I use when I'm painting, so I can see what the mathematical or the difference is. I could give you all the formulas for that from portrait painting, but we're not going to do that today. Horizontal line right here where her eye is, the bottom of her nose, and the corner of her mouth. Pull another one down for the bottom of her chin, about right there. So this gives me an indicator when I'm painting. I don't trace. I can, I have, but I don't. Then I pulled some horizontal lines over. I wanted to know where her nose is in relation to her lip and her chin. And you can see there the curve that comes into play. This one is at the corner of her mouth. And it shows you the relation of the corner of her mouth to the nose. So she's got just a little bit of a muscle right here that extends. One right there on the edge of the eyeball and one on the opposite side of the eyeball. Bailey's, I won't mess with. I can pretty well tell from these lines where her eye is in relation. And as long as I match these lines fairly close, I should have a pretty good likeness. So there you have it. And I'm ready to paint.